What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Bourbon and Bullshit podcast with some good friends, great drinks, and a little bit of BS. So grab a seat, pour up something neat, and welcome to the show. All right, guys, welcome back to Bourbon and Bullshit. We are here with a frequent flyer, friend of ours, David Jordan from SpeakeasierUK, aka the Bohemianmixologist. It's been a lot of fun. It's funny that David, third time's a charm, man. How are you today?
Yeah, no, I'm really, really good. Glad to be back. As I said, 3 times now. It'll be double figures before we know it. So it's good. It's good.
Well, before we know we catch up, it's like, oh, 12 times. You know what? He's just a regular. That's just, we're not even counting it anymore. That's awesome, man. That you've been on so much, and it's been always fun. Every time we link up, it's always we don't run out of things to talk about. There's always more things going on. Super enjoyable to have you on, and honestly, every time I catch up with you, I see all these things going on your feeds and all these other things. So, how you been? How's everything going? I see you wearing a football jersey. Is it that time of
Yeah,
year?
I've got there's a new vintage football shop back in Liverpool here. So every time I try and support as much as I can the local community.
Mm,
If I can wear a few little bits and bobs from the clothing store,
yeah.
I will do. So I've got a 2018 or 19, it might be, Sao Paulo Brazilian training top. So
Mm,
why not?
fair enough. How you been, man? How's everything going? I know you've been super busy, super slammed with everything going on. Tell us what's up.
Yeah,
What's new?
yeah, so much going on. I mentioned just a little bit before, we've got, believe it or not, we're in the lead up to Christmas already. It may not seem like it because we're just in September, but from a planning and marketing point of view, Christmas is here basically. Everything now is thinking about how we can showcase products for the festive season. We've got a few last minute Halloween bits and bobs that we'll be doing, but the main push now, especially for the next 2 3 months, will just be get Christmas done. So come December, fingers crossed, we've got no Christmas work to shoot, and we can focus then on dry January. And then February is pretty much where we get our break,
Hmm.
and then it ramps right back up last week of February because then we've got Easter to plan for. Haven't even checked when Easter falls in 25,
Go
but
find
yeah,
out.
it's the calendar that I work on is like a couple of months
Yeah.
disjointed to the reality, which is never a good thing. But
You sound a
it's
lot like the retail calendar too, because that's like our
it's not
quote
far
unquote
off, yeah.
busy seasons is this holiday. Well, I don't work retail anymore, but when I did, you don't get busy in February. No one cares about Valentine cocktails. Is that what's going on?
February's really quiet for me. I'd like it not to be. I don't really like having a break, but February tends to be,
Mm,
everyone's a bit sick of spirits by February. Like we've just had Christmas, which is a big blowout. Everyone's done dry January. Whether you're drinking or not drinking, I think everyone gets just a little bit tired. Everyone's unhappy with the new year. That's when New Year's resolutions fail.
yeah,
February is just a bit of a shit month. So people, they know what they like to drink in February. They're just going to go back to what they've always been drinking.
that makes
Um,
that makes
yeah,
sense. I forget about dry January. My fiance practices it. I not as much, but yeah, you're right. February is probably when like people I haven't drank in 30 some odd days. I'm not really going to jump into the deep end of drinking to ease into it.
yeah. They'll go to what they know as well. If they've missed something for 30 days, they're not going to try something new. They'll try the bottle that they've always went to, which is good and bad. And then Valentine's, it's a nice day,
Mm.
but I think the issue with it is it's one day. Easter feels like it's a larger celebration.
Is Easter a
So
big deal where you're at?
it is, and we've got more and more in the industry now, chocolate heavy liqueurs, and they're only 2 times they can really push is Christmas and Easter. If you've got a chocolate cream liqueur, or even Bailey's, for example,
Mhm.
it's really hard to push that in summer. Not a lot of people want these really rich, creamy drinks in the middle of summer, like by a
Yeah,
beach. If you're going to do that, you go pina colada, you go um, pretty much anything else but a thick chocolatey liqueur.
that's fair. That's fair.
They're very heavy, and because of that, it ties itself so well to these fall style, autumnal, wintry cocktails. That just works so well, Christmas and Easter. Obviously, Easter sells itself with the chocolatey aspect.
I was gonna say,
But yeah, it is quite big, a lot bigger than probably people would realise. I'd
yeah.
say last year, Easter was arguably bigger than Christmas for us. It was a huge Easter 2024. I don't really know why, but people have budgets, so if they've got budgets, we'll happily work with them.
That is interesting. I didn't think of Easter as a big drinking holiday. Like, I don't know. I always imagine just an Easter rabbit and like Lent and stuff like that. Or not Lent, but all this religious affiliated type of, yeah. Didn't think that everyone was also getting really wasted on Easter.
Apparently so, yeah. I think it's because there's quite a big, especially in the UK,
Yeah.
a big tradition of gifting Easter eggs, blah blah blah, and we like to. I think we're all a bit sick collectively of just Easter eggs.
Mm.
So what's the next best thing? Oh, booze. It's always booze. So we start
Yeah.
gifting like chocolate liqueurs or basically anything Eastery.
You know what?
Because even a lot of the Easter eggs now will be like minis, like chocolate truffles with the booze in. So like
Yeah.
I think it's Johnny Walker or some of the whiskey brands
Yeah.
throughout Easter will sell their own chocolates.
I've seen a lot of those adult Easter egg hunts where like the Easter eggs have minis, like little nips of alcohol, at least in the States. We discussed it before.
Yeah.
We're lushes out here.
Yeah, it's similar. We love any excuse really. And I tell you now, if Valentine's was ever Valentine's weekend, it would be huge. But because it's only one day, it's like any other weekend here in the UK. Everyone's out for a drink anyway.
Yeah. The one thing out here, I worked in with a store who had a liquor store, and we would sell like case loads of chocolate wine, like this choco wine stuff that looked disgusting. But they were just buying like, oh, let me get two of these, and just women, men, everyone was just walking in and buying all that. And I always thought to myself, like, that sounds disgusting. But you're right. Other than champagne, I can't think of like a very Valentine-y spirit.
No,
Yeah.
there's not many loving spirits.
Yeah.
I think champagne fits the bill.
Yeah.
But on a one-off to treat someone,
Yeah. Does that
I
feel
mean,
like,
Valentine's cocktails maybe. But again, it's like,
do people drink less when they're in love? Is that what's going on?
yeah, I was gonna say if you need the drinks, it's probably not the greatest sign of your relationship.
Yeah. We're not drinking because it's going well. No, that's awful. No, that's funny. I didn't really imagine that. I thought for sure, sort of cocktail industry is very different, and drinks and spirits are very different. Summer has their own niche. Everything like that has their own niche. I just find it funny because I'm thinking about what you're saying about Bailey's. I live in Florida, which is constantly summer, and people still find an excuse to drink Bailey's. Like, it's never cold enough to really enjoy like what you would think of a decadent dessert cocktail, but people find an excuse. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Bailey's pretty much vanishes here in the UK throughout summer
It should.
compared to what it's like in Christmas anyway. Like at Christmas markets in the UK, mulled wine and Bailey's normally the colder option. There's some Bailey's served everywhere. If you go to like a milkshake place,
Yeah.
they'll have a spiked one with Bailey's. It's just they fit into everything come winter, and I'm all for it. I like Bailey's as a brand. I think they're great, and I love the marketing that they do. And it is for an Irish cream, it's up there. I've got a few that I've worked at in the past that I think are on a par, if not better, when you're in the right mood than Bailey's. Cool Swan Irish cream liqueur is absolutely gorgeous. It's made with Belgian white chocolate, and it's really decadent.
Sounds delicious.
It really is. It's not as stable as Bailey's. Bailey's is quite fun because you can mix it with some syrups and you can get a little bit creative with the serves.
Yeah.
Cool Swan is just the antithesis of like a noble gas. If you even introduce it slightly to anything, it curdles.
Oh,
Straight away curdles.
that is disgusting.
There's been times where I've put it with like, I think it was a mint syrup. I wanted like a grasshopper vibe. And even the mint syrup curdled it. It's just,
That's so bad.
I don't know why. I mean, I wasn't big into my pH testing back then, but maybe it's something I do this Christmas. It's such a shame because the actual drink on its own is it's probably the best out the fridge drinks I've ever had. It's amazing. And I really like the creamy drinks for the autumn winter season.
Yeah.
So it's such a shame you can't mix it that well with other things.
Not to get too heavy, my autumn drinks are all like hot toddies or something like that, just spiked. Yeah. But to the point that I was making earlier about Americans being just lushes. I love being here, but we're lushes. Like we had breakfast at a brunch spot like Sunday, and everything was spiked. Like, oh, do you want spiked coffee, spiked cocktail, spiked? I'm like, it is 9:30 a.m. Yes, I would like a spiked cold brew. but it's like Bailey's everything, Kahlua everything, like whiskey infused coffee. Like I'm like, what the? Like, we find a way. We will find a way here. But I know it's been a bit since we've been here. But one of the things we always like doing, obviously, like this just actually happened by happenstance. You mentioned Cronin's Swedish Punch the last time we connected. And I went on a hunt, and shouts to Billy Maskers at the Courtesy here in Orlando, Florida, Winter Park, Florida specifically. He's been on a show a couple of times. I don't know if I ever told you the story of how I got engaged at a cocktail making class, but he was the one who helped me set up for over a year. But because of that, we've built a really good friendship. I was able to get Cronin's at home, and I made a cocktail that was listed called the Doctor. It is with Smith & Cross and Cronin's Swedish Punch. It's an equal parts cocktail. I don't even want to get too deep into like how to make it. You make it however you want, but it's equal parts, 1-1-1. Lime juice, Cronin's, and Smith & Cross. And it's actually really fucking good. Like I was surprised how good it was. Recently got on a kick with Smith & Cross, and being able to get the Cronin's helped out a lot. And I did not realize the maker or the current owner is in Bradenton, Florida, which is like 2 hours away from me. So looking like he's
amazing.
So you do talk to him on a regular basis?
Yeah, very regular, weekly, fortnightly at the very latest. But yeah, it's a regular contact. He's one of my oldest friends in the industry, and I'll never have a bad word heard about him because he's phenomenal.
Well, I'm supposed to contact him via email actually today. I'll shoot him a message. We're letting him know. Maybe you can get him on the show. But 2 hours away from me, I was pleasantly surprised. Like this is something I've never heard of, obviously, until David put me onto it. You can drink this stuff just neat.
It's delicious.
It's delicious. So, David, you're much more familiar with the brand and what it is. Can you break it down for everyone?
Yeah, of course. So Cronin is a traditional Swedish punch. There's many rules that go into making a traditional Swedish punch, set out by the EU and the Swedish FDA, which is a food standards agency, pretty much. And where was I going? Yeah, sorry. The mix of the spirits is rum and Batavia Iraq. So rum, I'm sure everyone will be pretty much aware of what rum is. Yeah. The specific one in this, I believe, is from, I want to say Guyana. It might not be Guyana.
It says West Indies.
Is it a West Indian rum, or is that the Batavia Iraq? Because Batavia Iraq is effectively an Indonesian rum, but it's not. It's made in a different way. Batavia Iraq had its day. There's Batavia Iraq in the Savoy cocktail book, and it's not really a thing we use this day and age. There's a few brands that make it. Van Oosten is probably the most common that you may have heard of in the US. But I don't think it's the top tier quality that we really expect. Cronin has actually got a brilliant Batavia Iraq in its blend along with the rum that it uses. And it's pretty much redistilled, and a lot of spice is added to it. And when we say spice, we don't mean like chilies, ancho, anything like that. We mean winter spice, so cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. It tastes to me anyway, very wintry. And there's an awful lot of nuance in there. It's one of my favourite spirits, and I'll be honest, this limited edition that I was showcasing a little while back, that is, so far anyway, we're 9 months in now, this is my favourite product of the year. And
wow.
I don't think one will beat it because it's that good.
Wow. And you've tried a good amount of products this year too.
I try so many products and nothing comes close. It really is an incredible spirit. They took the original Cronin blend, which is the one you've got, which is now Cronin Original. I think that's the name we're sticking with. They took that and added the blend to New Swedish Oak and aged it for a year. So we then had this really delicious, spicy blend of rum and Batavia Iraq. And all of a sudden you've got this not overbearing, but a nice nudge of oak in the flavour. So it brings out so much more nuance in the product.
Yeah.
Even better is it's drier, so they added less sugar.
Thank
And
God.
bottled it at a higher ABV. So now this is 30% ABV, which is pretty much the sugar content and the ABV. They've pushed it as high as possible. The original's 26, I believe.
Yeah, 26.
So it's 4% stronger, which is pretty much as high as they can push it, whilst it still remains a traditional Swedish punch. So they've really brought it to the limits on this one. And trust me when I say this is phenomenal. It's basically, it's bad to use it in cocktails, and I very rarely say that because it's so good on its own.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it elevates every cocktail. Any Cronin original cocktail, if you use this, you'll see a huge difference. The Cronin original cocktails are already great, in my opinion. This pushes them beyond that. And it's for that reason why I make a lot of inverted cocktails with this. So I'll take an old fashioned and I'll do 45 to 60 mil of the Swedish punch, and then 15 to 20 mil of a high proof whiskey or high proof rum, and just flip it on its head. At that point, I'll probably just add bitters or a tiny bit of sugar, maybe like 5 mil of a cinnamon syrup just to bring out the flavors a bit more. And then you'll have this gorgeous cocktail, still high proof and just truly fantastic. I can't stress enough how good the limited edition is. And I'm really hoping we get limited editions every year now. I'd be very, very excited in that. Maybe different barrels each time, just to try and add a bit of different nuance in each bottle. But yeah, I think with 3 months left, 4 months left of the year, it's going to be very hard pressed to find anything I say is better than it. And yeah, there's some bias in there because I do know the owner well, but I don't really let that cloud my judgment most of the time. Yeah. It is a great spirit on its own, and I'm very lucky to be able to try one of the limited edition bottles. I don't know how many were made. I believe it was between 500 and 1,000 maybe. So
that's it.
Yeah, and I think price wise, I can't say off the top of my head, but I believe he's only put it maybe $10-15 more. So it's really,
so
in terms of value,
he's a great dude, makes a great spirit. He's also not price gouging people for.
That's not what he's in it for.
I love that.
One thing I really like about him is he's passionate about spirits.
What's in the owner's name?
It's Henrik.
Henrik. That's what I have on the email.
Yeah. He is phenomenal. Swedish guy living in Florida, and he's lived a life and he loves spirits, and that is what I love about him. He's so passionate. I think I'm passionate, and then you speak to him. He's one of the only people I will just shut up and listen to because he just talks and talks, and every word that comes out of his mouth is gold. He just knows so much about products. And I'm sure he would be a brilliant one to bring on, actually. He would be a fantastic person to talk to.
Yeah, he had written on your recent post when I said I love this. I got the product for when we record. He wrote me privately. He's like, I'm glad you like it. You mix it with bourbon, whiskeys, and so it wasn't just an automated response. He literally saw We're the Bourbon and Bullshit podcast, and he's like, you know what you could mix it with. I was like, all right, man, I like that. I was like, I'd love to connect with you. I'm actually going to be drinking your product this weekend. So he immediately said, yeah, shoot me an email. Let's get this done. So that's one of those.
Make sure to wish him well from me when you speak to him.
100%. When we're done here, I'm shooting him an email. Sundays are my days to the networking and any unfinished loops, anything I have to do. So Sunday I send everything out. Sunday is my quote unquote like studio day. So we do all that. So I'll be sending him a message and I'll let him know David wishes his best. The Doctor's fantastic drink. I can't wait to get him on. I'm sure someone who's made this has gone through the industry, has some stories, and has plenty to share with us. So looking forward to it. It's just crazy that he's in Florida right here for such a unique product. He said, yeah, I'm in Bradenton, Florida. I was like, I could drive to you right now. I can get to you within 2 hours. And we can talk about this in real time. So that might be something.
It'd be a great one to film it live. That'd be really good.
Yeah, that would be one of those great live ones, especially as we continue to grow and learn more skills, which, David, I'll probably pick your brain later about more camera angles and stuff.
That's fine.
But so been a little bit since we connected, and we had some recent things come. Oh, so yeah, obviously, I just want to share this. I don't watch soccer ever, typically normally, but we have. I just want to share something recent that we went and did. We went on a date night literally yesterday, and it was Orlando City Pride for the like American Soccer League. And my fiance and I never watch soccer other than, and you're gonna hate this because everyone looks at me funny when I say this, because of Ryan Reynolds in that show for Wrexham. She was like, I want to see it in real life. She was excited. We ended up doing it. I understand why people love it so much. It is actually fun to watch in real life. TV, not as much. The real life atmosphere. And I think you say that about a lot of live sporting events, but I was surprised how much. Like my fiance and I just stopped talking and watching the game. I don't know who the players are. And apparently I'm good luck because we were up 2-0, almost like the first 10 minutes of the match. And a couple of my buddies are like, I sent him pictures like, I'm here. And he's like, you're good luck. Please keep coming to the games because they don't score this fast ever. I don't know what's going on. Are they not a good team? I don't know what's happening. I only know what Ryan Reynolds and they told me. So definitely it was just funny because we had a conversation with a friend of mine. I'm getting to we were at this conversation about sports in real time, in real life, are always substantially more exciting. It's the atmosphere, it's people, it's the energy, it's live, it's all that is so much better for an experience, even though you don't get to see as much. Like obviously the camera angles at home are better. The TV is better. All that is better. Unless you're paid premium seats, you're not going to get every angle. So how do you feel when you think about like live events versus in the comfort of your own home, wearing your like sweatpants and relax? Like what's like?
You know what? I think it really depends on a couple of things. For me, what sport it is a huge one. Like I'm just a big sports fan generally. So
do you like American football?
What's happening? Yeah, I'm
it's okay to say no. We're not judging here.
No, to be fair, if there's something big on, the hardest part for me is the time zones at American football.
Yeah, you're 5 hours ahead of us.
Yeah, so that makes life very difficult. Obviously, big events, Super Bowl. I even had Super Bowl cocktails that I had up this year, funny enough, with Cronin.
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
So, like, it's always something that's on the calendar and something to look out for. But the day-to-day, it's really hard to tune in that well to American sports.
Yeah.
But when it comes to anything from football/soccer, rugby, whether it be golf, cricket, tennis, I'll watch and enjoy it all. Really big fan of probably the biggest American sport I watch is UFC. Big fan of the UFC.
Look at that.
But again, we've got a couple of Liverpool born and bred fighters in the UFC, so there's a vested interest there. I've actually got Molly McCann, Molly Meatball. Her bottle of gin that she owns is one that I help a lot with in terms of the marketing and promotion. So we've got a few cans. I'm looking at them now, and they're Pimp Gin. It's called a bottle of
Pimp
Gin. Yeah, it's a purple gin, and it's actually an acronym, and it's passion infused, magically purple, or Pimp Gin. And it's a fun product at the very least.
Yeah, it's actually fucking hilarious. I love that. So,
but yeah, depending on the sport,
yeah,
some sports are much better live. Darts is one that's huge in the UK, but not really that big.
Did you say
America.
darts?
Massive in the UK.
Are you serious?
It's hilarious. Yeah, we love the darts. There's not much better. And honestly, after this episode, just get on YouTube or whatever and type in UK darts, and the scene for darts is hilarious. It's basically a huge night out with 5,000 to 10,000 people, whilst a couple of middle-aged men throw darts, and you can barely even see what's happening, but it's hilarious, and they are the rowdiest nights. But yeah, darts, the culture for darts here is just phenomenal. I've actually got notifications set up, so I get emailed every time the darts comes to Liverpool, just so I can get tickets. It's hilarious in person. Not great to watch at home. It's okay. But it's hilarious in person.
Everyone just gets drunk and starts rooting for you.
It's hilarious. It's such a common thing that everyone goes to darts in fancy dress as well.
This is a night out. This is a date night.
a night out. No, fancy dresses in like costumes like Halloween. Like we all turn up like dressed as cones or dressed as dartboards. Like
That's what you mean. I thought you meant like a ball. Both are equally comical. If it went to like a fancy
no,
ball.
it's absolutely hilarious.
David, do you dress up for darts? I'm not
I
judging.
have
I'm
not.
curious.
I have not, but every time I go, I just can't believe some of the outfits people are wearing. It's just hilarious.
Oh, I gotta look that up. I am
If
gotta
you're ever
save
in the
that.
UK and Premier League darts event is on, it'll be the best night out you'll ever have in the UK because it's just stupid.
Oh, we get. Oh,
Um, and the atmosphere is great because people are all there for the same reason. It's even better if you actually like the darts. I quite like it,
hmm
but it's hilarious. It's one of the craziest atmospheres you'll ever see. And then obviously football, great. I've got huge connection to the teams anyway, so I can happily watch any game at home, relaxed, and really enjoy it. Sports that I haven't got the biggest connection to is always better in person because then you can feed off the atmosphere more.
yeah. That's kind of how I felt
But
about
when you've
soccer.
got that connection, like I watched Liverpool, Manchester United a few hours ago. Um, that was a big game. Obviously, big Liverpool fan. That was a tense situation, and whether I was at the game or at home would have been the same. Really passionate about that one, and we won, thankfully.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it depends on the person. Sports generally, anything with a competitive nature, I'm in. Like when the Olympics are on,
I
I
mean,
was in. I didn't care what it was. I'm in.
yeah. I ended, except for
Yeah.
breakdancing. Breakdancing was a mess.
Except for the breakdancing, that was a bit rough. But I'm actually looking at trying in some capacity to get to the LA Olympics
Really?
as a spectator, not a competitor, quite obviously. Um,
I was waiting for a surprise. It's like I was.
so yeah, I'd love to get to the LA Olympics and spend a couple of weeks over there,
Yeah.
just enjoying the time and see what's up.
I know you've been talking
Uh,
about coming to the States anyway, but that would be a really dope time to come over.
yeah, why not? Like I think I don't know why because haven't grown up like watching the Olympics or being big into it,
hmm
but I'm really into it now, and it's just I've fully fell in love with the whole event around it. So I'm looking at going into the Milan Winter Olympics as well, the next Winter Olympics.
hmm
Um, Mainly because it's Milan. It's just a gorgeous place to go.
Yeah.
I think it's either the opening or the closing ceremony is at the San Siro,
Mm.
which is my favourite football stadium, hands down, besides Anfield. So I have to I have to try and get to that, and then fingers crossed get to LA as well. A few big events on the horizon.
This is pretty significant events. I think that I'm in the same boat, and I saw a lot of like I have friends, especially as Americans, like they we're a country that everyone's kind of like there's a lot of division. There's a lot of people who don't necessarily get along, be stances on things and all that. The moment the Olympics on, everyone's an American. It doesn't matter if it's shot put, doesn't matter if it's breakdancing, doesn't matter what it is. We are all USA. The people go crazy. And to your point, until I got older, I didn't give shits about the Olympics. I don't know the athletes. I didn't care until like someone like Michael Phelps, short of those people like Michael Phelps who stands out, or someone who's like Simone Biles, like these once in a lifetime athletes. Short of that, I didn't really care. But I do find myself as I get older having an appreciation for what they do, regardless of the sport. And
Yeah.
and I've made a joke a couple times on my social media and in life is I think that as spectators, a lot of people underappreciate how hard it is to do what these people are doing, and the amount of athleticism, training, the 3 a.m. training sessions, all that. I was like, I really wish that one year the Olympics just let a regular dude go out there and just try to do one of these sports to show them how much we should appreciate how good these athletes are. Like it's a master class of athleticism, regardless of the sport. Once again, the caveat is breakdancing was a mess, but everything else, gymnastics, shot put, everything I've seen, I'm always just like in awe of.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember watching I think it was the London Marathon it might have been last year or this year, and looking at the times they ran, they're effectively running at a sprinting speed for
Mhm.
2 hours 10 minutes.
Like that's insane. Like people don't realize how insane this is because they make it look so effortless. They make it look effortless. These are not fucking normal. Like they're not.
It's
They're
crazy. Like you see people trying to like run alongside them to cheer them on, and they can't catch up to them. They're an
no,
hour 50 into running, and you can't catch up.
no. It's you have to be on a motorcycle or like they have like mopeds following these people. And even those people look like they like, hey, I'm going way too damn fast. Like,
It's crazy.
I don't know, man. I appreciate these athletes much more now that I'm older. Now that I realize like this is not easy for people to do. Like the stuff that they're doing, the hours of dedication. Then you realize how little they get paid in real life for some sports, depending on what's going on. They need sponsorships, all this, and a lot of really cool stuff came out of the Olympics too. You see like Flavor Flav and all these people are paying for these athletes to just exist. It's like you still have 3 jobs and you're here doing water polo. I'll pay your rent. Just go compete. Yeah. Like those are these other feel good stories that are coming out of it. And I joke about like my generation and people around my age range. I'm older. If I had money, I would do stuff like that. If I was like Snoop Dogg rich, yes, I would go on fucking side quest and pay for the water polo team and pay for these. Like, yes, go out there and be the best version of America you can be. But the Olympics have been great. So going to Milan would be pretty epic. If you go to LA, that's phenomenal. I think those are some pretty big visits, man. Yeah, Milan's a vacation. It's okay to say Milan's a vacation.
Yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? If you're going to do it properly, and I feel as though that is the most proper way I could do it.
Yeah.
And again, it's the LA Olympics, but it's pretty much just Snoop Dogg's Olympics. It seems to be that he's just in control of everything, which it's a party. Let's just go enjoy it. It's going to be 2 weeks of just joy, so why not?
As an American who grew up, obviously, seeing Snoop Dogg go from a gangster rapper to Martha Stewart's right-hand man, I love everything for him. I love what he's... Yeah. It's like this, I don't know how much of a gamer you are. I don't remember how much of a video gamer you are, but it's like he's doing all the side quests now that he finished the main mission. He's a multi-platinum selling, Grammy Award-winning artist. What else is he doing? He makes cookbooks. He's
living life to the fullest.
Yeah. He was wearing the full like jockey outfit. One of these things. What are you doing, Snoop? He's like 60 doing this. So I'm not mad at him about it.
He's phenomenal. The closing ceremony for Paris, they do the handover to LA. And they just had like this huge beach party, and it just kept stepping up and up and up. So it went from Red Hot Chili Peppers to Billie Eilish, and then Snoop just walks out and pulls Dre out as well, and it's like LA's just going to be crazy. Like it's going to be phenomenal. I
have friends and family in LA, and I just still haven't made it out there because of life, just random stuff. It's just honestly, it's one of those like, I'll get there eventually. This is a side thing. I've just always noticed, like, if you live in a city and state, you don't, or an area, you don't necessarily appreciate what's right in your backyard. I often think, I want to go on vacation. I always want to leave the country. Meanwhile, there are places like California right there with all these phenomenal attractions that people are flying across the world to go see. And I'm just like, it's fine. I'll go later.
Yeah, I feel the same. To be honest, I feel the same. I like to get out. I like to... If my passport isn't stamped, did I really travel? Like,
yeah,
I need to get away.
I joke. One day we'll just do an exchange. I'll just go live where you are. You live here. Just see how that rides out for a week or two. But guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break because we got to keep the lights on. Unless everyone wants to really pay up for my Patreon, we'll be right back. Hey guys, while you're listening to the show, we know that you might want to partake in some drinks with us and enjoy in the libations. Here at Bourbon and Bullshit, we ask that you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive, avoid Amazon one-click buy, and for the love of God, do not text your ex. You do not need that kind of closure. They've moved on, so should you, Joseph. You should stop Facebook stalking. She knows. She knows. Now, all jokes aside, don't do anything dumb, take care of yourselves, and be safe. Thanks, guys. Now back to the show. All right, guys, so we are back. Really quick break. Honestly, it was just an excuse for me to go reach for my Cronins. But we are about to just drink straight up Swedish Punch. I had it in the Doctor, the cocktail that uses Smith & Cross, which is for all of you that are looking for Smith & Cross and like thinking it's going to be a regular rum. It's not. Everyone describes it as funky, and I couldn't understand what that was until I tasted Smith & Cross. It's a pot still Jamaican rum with Navy strength. It'll do the job well. It's over 50% ABV.
I want to say it's 64%.
Yeah. I think it's 64% Navy strength. So it's gonna do the job. And mixed with Swedish Punch, which is very. Oh, we're gonna verify it. Swedish Punch, which is very tasty, delicious, lower ABV, and masks it well, mixed with a little bit of lime juice for the doctor. But if you ever are looking for a unique rum, check out Smith and Cross, all that. They're not a sponsor by any means, but I just want to put them on everyone's radar. Yes, that bottle is fantastic. 67. Jesus.
67.5.
67.5 ABV. That's gonna put some hair in the chest. But now we're just gonna go straight Swedish Punch right now. We already talked about it, but when David's ready, we're gonna cheers and salud. Take care, buddy. Yeah. I have it over ice, and he has it just neat. This is fucking amazing. This is delicious. I'm so fucking mad that I didn't know this thing existed.
What I always say if you're just getting into it and you want to make some original cocktails and you're not too sure where to start, one option that you've got is to look at my page and the 22 Kronen in the Savoy cocktails you made.
Where's that page, David? Where's that page, David?
So that is dotted all over my Instagram. It was towards the end of last year. We did 22 cocktails from the Savoy cocktail book. That all feature Swedish Punch. And we remade them, brought them into the 21st century, balanced the specs slightly, and they're gorgeous. They're all really tasty.
They can find all those cocktails at SpeakeasierUK on Instagram.
Of
course.
And if you don't want to do that and you don't trust me, pick your favourite Velvet Falernum cocktail and sub in Kronen.
Velvet Falernum just came up on my feed very often. I unfortunately have never been versed enough to get into it, but it's just basically a sweetener, right? For the most part.
So it's a 13%, 13 or 11% liqueur/boozy syrup. But it's quite sweet, obviously, as you'd expect from something low ABV. But it's also spiced, cinnamony, great in tiki cocktails. This being a higher proof shows itself up a bit more. Velvet Falernum is a tap on the shoulder. Kronen will slap you on the back and make sure you know it's there. I prefer that in a cocktail.
I like that.
I like my ingredients to sing with each other and not whisper. And Kronen is, the limited edition is a shouter. It's delicious. And this is the limited edition now.
Maybe.
And it's delicious.
Maybe Henrik,
Henrik, Henrik.
Henrik has a limited edition laying around, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I'll drive to Bradenton to Florida if I need to.
It's brilliant. I'll let Henrik tell the story, but he's got he's had a number of Swedish punches in his life, one of which is still to this day being served at the Nobel dinner. So
really?
Yeah, he's
the Nobel Prize dinner.
Nobel Prize dinner, yeah. So that's still being served at the dinner each year. So that just goes to show the quality of the spirit this man produces.
Oh, I'm so interested in his life story and how he got there. But I know earlier we talked about it because I want to make sure we give some attention to this because I'm always about it. This is a little bit selfish. I really want to know about this. It's the spooky season. You talked about this calendar. We have a lot coming up. And I know from our first interview and a couple touch points that you did a lot when you rolled out the Bohemianmixologist cocktail book. And a lot of it was running a campaign of Halloween with these practical effects. You were just learning how to do this. So it wasn't like you knew a lot of post-production stuff to your own admittance. All this was real. You made a wicker man. You got these gloves. You took all these things. You did all that. But you covered a lot of villains, man. You covered a lot of like scary what goes bump in the night. Are you still going to be making a run for the spooky season? And is it going to be new renditions? Tell us about what you're thinking about. Or is someone new from a newer generation of horror movies going to make a scene?
So Halloween itself, I love the content I made for the book launch. I think every year until I'm not here, we will have some of those drinks being shown off again. Because I love the videos you made. I love the effort that went into it. Because back then it was just me making things work where in reality they shouldn't even have started, never mind come through to fruition and worked in the end.
Yeah.
So I've got a very like sensitive side for them. they'll always be there. And sentiment shouldn't come into business, but it's my business, so I can do what I want.
If you're not passionate
So
about
they'll
it,
be
it's
there.
not going to feel great about it, right? You have to be passionate about it.
That's it. So like, they'll always show up around Halloween every year.
Yeah.
This year, the way things are going, I'm trying to get a little bit of time set aside so I can be a bit creative on getting in front of the camera for me rather than for brands, which I've not done enough of this year. I had a bit of a jokey video go up today, taking the piss out of Oasis, which I enjoyed, and we've got
I laughed
a
at
new
that one.
style of
I won't
video.
even lie. I won't even lie to you. I laughed at that. The Oasis band and the drink. I was like, what is going on?
And like the effort it took to edit that in a way that purposely looks sloppy, like making sure the Oasis logo like tracked behind
Yeah.
is so much more difficult than just tracking it properly.
Oh, that was great. I was laughing. I was like,
Yeah, and I wanted every clip to be different sizes of the band's logo over the bottle
Yeah.
to really just make it look sloppy. But it would have been so much easier if I just did it properly.
Listen, if you ever want
But-
someone to edit badly, you let me know. I got it. I'll take care of that for you.
I just really wanted it to look like almost slapstick, like thrown together.
Uh-huh.
The reality is that took quite a while to put together. But what I liked about it is it was an idea I had followed through with, filmed myself, and just got done, which I've not done enough of this year. This year's been heavy on the client work, heavy on the meetings, and severely lacking on the creativity. So we're trying to do a lot more using music I enjoy, using fast-paced videos, which, again, that's what a lot of people know me for initially, but also now being on camera. I enjoy being on camera. I want a bit more personality in the page, and I think having that personal brand, again, I don't think I'm anyone, so it's not about that, but having that personal brand means a lot when you're making real connections. I want every one of the people who follow me to be able to feel like they can message me as a pal.
Yeah.
And if they see me on camera a lot, it'll make life much easier for them. And that's pretty much where I want to be with that.
Which obviously one of the worst things, I'll be very honest, one of the things I'm terrible at is social media. I hate being in front of camera. And I know it sounds weird coming from someone who's a content creator, well, starting up content creator, creating a podcast. There's a reason why it's an audio podcast. I just always I'm much more comfortable not knowing the camera's not in front of me. I've realized, to your point, that you get a lot more interactions when people see your face. When you make the jokes, when people see your face making the jokes or doing the things or whatever, I will get 3 times as much views, 3 times as much likes. I was like, what is going on? Like, it's the same jokes I'm making on the show, but because people are visual, they want to make a connection with that person right away. And I understand that now. I was very resistant, but you're right. Being able to personally, instead of just seeing your hands in the same shaker over and over, you probably feel better about that connection you make with physically being there.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I really didn't enjoy being in front of the camera, like, at all.
Really?
Yeah, no, at the start it was horrendous. There's nothing worse. But you need to take, I don't know where I've heard it, but it really rung true. You need to take so much of the poison that eventually it becomes the tonic. And that's
alcohol
how
in
I feel
general.
like being on camera. So like I've done it so much now that it's sort of it's the standard. I've just got to do it.
Yeah.
I now feel weird if I've went a week without being on camera. So I like that setup. One thing that bugs me more than anything, and it will be sorted the next time I'm on this, is audio. I am struggling with the audio at the moment.
Really?
Yeah, because it's mainly so YouTube is the kicker when it comes to audio. Obviously we shoot 16:9 or 9:16 depending on the format we're putting it on. YouTube, we like the wide shot. It's really hard to hide the microphone when you've got the wide shot.
I don't even hide it.
And that's why I stopped hiding it. I was just carrying the microphone.
Yeah, I saw you with the Rode.
Yeah, but when you're making a video, which you need your hands for, it can be a bit difficult because you then make a cocktail and at the end you pick the mic up and talk about it, which it's just not how I work. I never show up when I'm making a drink, and I
Mm.
want people to be involved in that. So we're going to get a big pack of either Rode or DJI wireless mics,
Yeah,
and they'll
let's
just
say
clip
like,
them
why
on.
not the Zoom ones or all that? Sorry
Yeah,
for all the listeners. Like we're talking shop. Like we have the Zoom ones for whenever I'm recording a video. I don't want people being able to see the mic.
yeah, that's pretty much the route I want to go down. The magnetic clip in, so it'll be inside the t-shirt, little
Mm-hmm.
magnet. You'll see a small square. I don't mind that. And it's just a one. It's a fix-all. I can use that anywhere for anything,
Mm-hmm.
which I need really. I really wanted a great quality Rode, but I'd rather have maybe 9 out of 10 audio than 9.5 and not have to walk around like because it ruins the illusion for me.
There is, yeah, but there's a little bit of the aesthetic that it stands out in a video where even you walking around with the mic stands out
Yeah,
because you see a lot of like, especially influencers nowadays, they have the little like cube. You see the magnetic thing, you see it on it clipped on a hat, you see it clipped on the side of a shirt. It doesn't ruin it. Maybe I'm objectively thinking of it as someone who creates content, so we know how difficult it is to fucking really do this well without people knowing.
yeah,
Like, I don't have a Hollywood budget where you will never see the boom mic over my head. You won't see any of these things. I don't have that. So yeah, we make do with a $300 Zoom mic, like all
yeah,
that. I digress too much though. But spooky season, these
yeah.
drinks, these characters are we? I know that you said that there's always going to be there, but are you thinking about ever exploring like these newer, later generation
So
villains?
one thing that's on the horizon now, and I need to be really quick with it, probably do it this week.
Because it's September
I want
1st right now.
I want to do something with Beetlejuice.
That's
Obviously
who I was
Beetlejuice
going to
coming
mention.
out. Yeah, I need to do something with that. I think it's the 6th of September it releases.
We'll look it up.
Uh, I might be wrong. I usually am. But 6th rings a bell. So that gives me, so we don't count today, all of like 4 days to do that, which
Yeah,
is
September 6th, 2024.
so yeah. I've got a few days to work out a cocktail for that, and I also want to do something for a film coming out in November. There's a new Wicked theatrical style film, so we'll
Okay.
get that done. And then when it comes to Halloween itself, we will do something. We
Okay.
definitely will. There'll be some paid content, no doubt, some adverts from clients because Halloween's quite a big one, and there's probably some we can reach out to. And no doubt we've
I
probably
mean,
got a few lined up already that I can't say too much about. And then I want to personally get in front of the camera filming a few bits and bobs, whether it be filming the actual drinks that we use to launch Boho, but
yeah.
instead of having this theatrical style to it, I just tell you what I like about these drinks and we make them and we tell the story.
Yeah.
That might be fun, just to give, in a way, the creators who follow the page as well a little peek behind the curtain to see why we did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That might be interesting. I'm not too sure, but we'll see. A lot of content is the plan.
Okay.
Definitely throughout December, I want double posting every day.
Mm.
And then Negroni week is coming up in about a week or so. And again, double posting every day for Negroni week, ideally.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to
A
steal a
lot of
Negroni
content.
week from you. I'm gonna have to steal a Negroni week from you because I'll probably make a Boulevardier or something like that, which is just a whiskey Negroni. But are there any villains or any horror things that you personally want to highlight? Something of the newer generation, because I'm thinking about, I don't even know the name of the creatures, but we think about Quiet Place. We think about the Terrifier. We think about Midsommar. We think about Black Phillip, the goat. There's a lot of newer
Yeah.
generation horror villains that are, because there's going to be a point, and I hate to say it, there's going to be a day when Jason Voorhees is just kind of like vintage horror and nothing relevant.
Yeah,
There's going to be a day
I
when
think
Candyman doesn't make a movie. There's going to be a day, like, I'm just curious about, are there even any of the new generation horror villains that, because I can think of two that I like.
something about the older generation, which seems weird to say because it's just what we all grew up with, but it's now the older generation.
Right? Doesn't that always
Something
make you
about
feel a little
that.
icky?
Something about that and those films, the way they were shot, the way the stories are told. There's something a little bit more beautiful about them.
Agreed.
I don't know whether it might be because film quality is too good now. In a way, there's something really good about slightly poorly color graded films,
Oh my God.
especially in the horror genre, that just jumps at you.
Yes.
Sometimes, like, if horror looks really crisp and perfectly filmed, it's not horrific. It's beautiful, and I don't want that. I want my films to look, unless it's Midsummer, in which case that was sort of the point.
Yeah. Midsummer was
It's
supposed to be
hard
beautiful
to
from
get
beginning to end.
it's hard to get the
A24.
balance right. Yeah, it's hard to get the balance right. I like this grainy, gritty film,
Yeah.
and a lot of the old horror just had that by default because all films looked a bit like that back in the day.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
And I don't know, the new wave of horror isn't something that I'm overly ecstatic about personally. I loved Midsummer.
Yeah.
Midsummer's one I always go back to,
Yeah.
but even that feels like it's quite not dated now. But I feel like anything pre-COVID just feels like it's
That,
different
like,
era.
I have been jokingly talking about this with friends because I'm a massive horror fan. I'm massive. A24 has done a great job of horror. They've done, I think they've done the movie X. Hold on, A24 had her name is A24 horror movies. Pearl, Maxine, X. Like they've done a decent job of putting out Midsummer. Obviously, we talked about, but it feels like a lot of recent horror villains. Short of like, I really enjoyed the movie Black Phone.
That was what I was going to mention. Is that the one
Yeah.
with the changing bottom of the mask?
Yes, he kept switching it out
Yeah,
with
yeah,
Ethan
yeah.
Hawke.
Like that is a really nice touch.
Yeah,
We don't get that anymore. Like,
I don't get that energy from a lot of horror movies nowadays. It feels like a lot of movies nowadays are so reliant on gore or over the top graphics, like
or just
Prometheus.
jump scares for the sake
Yes,
of jump scares. Like,
it's so sad. So I always wondered about like we knew our generation. Once again, I'm showing my age. We knew our generation horror, like Jigsaw, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, Candyman, and I guess whatever Scream and whatever the heck happens in Final Destination. I just guess the logs behind a truck. I can't really, but the logs behind a truck, like these are the quintessential horror like icons for us. There's nothing going for the next generation. At least in my personal opinion, there's no one who stands out, like other than maybe the Terrifier. And even then, I don't love his movies.
I think again, it's a remake of an old, but I thought Bill Skarsgård was unbelievable
Oh, is it
as
Pennywise?
But again, that's a recreation of an old.
Yeah.
So like, I
Quiet.
think that's one thing that we probably miss is having these huge actors or huge performances in horror. I mean, it's hard to say that because there's some brilliant ones. I think I told you about it a while back. The one with Matt Smith in, the psychological horror, which I can't remember the name of now.
Oh, right. I'll look it up. Max Smith.
Yeah, it's a psychological
Obituary?
horror with. I'll find it now. Matt Smith.
Ooh.
It is
A Nightly Affair, Red Raccoon.
His House.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah, really good film. But again,
yes.
it's not a character. It's you need to watch it. It's a really good film, and it's got this obviously A-list actor, which adds to it. One thing that I've always loved is Silence of the Lambs. Like it's not
Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, it's just it's got something about it.
Like it's weird, right? Like you can't put your finger on a lot of these newer. I think where maybe that's interesting in Hollywood, and I'm not able to articulate it as well. Back in the day, we had a character, we had an icon. This is who I'm afraid of. Now it's much more of like almost left to interpretation. There's a concept, and it's not.
It's more visceral. It's internalized.
Yes. You make it your own.
We lean more on the psychological now, whereas back in the day it was this is scary, be scared of this.
Yeah.
Whereas like it's now more of the unknown.
Yeah, like maybe that's something. Because even the movie Creep, it's about a long. I don't know if did you ever see that movie?
No.
Creep came out in 2014. It's an underrated horror movie, but it's a bunch of basically just trusting the wrong person on the internet. Like his guy's like, hey, I want to hire you. Like, so actually, this would be creepy to you. So someone reaches out to you, says, hey, I need a filmmaker. I need someone who can help me with content. I'm trying to make a movie so I can give to my mother because she's sick and she has Alzheimer's. Turns out the client is messed up in the head and ends up being basically a psychopath. But the whole time he's messing with the filmmaker. And the filmmaker is hoping, he's like, hey, I'm trying to help you, but you're really acting weird. You're acting like, so the whole time, it's a fucked up movie. It's really awkward. Watch it. But these are the kind of things people look at now. Like, what scares the new generation is different than what scared us. Yeah. We don't go camping anymore. Like, people don't go camping without a bunch of like guns and stuff, because that's what they do. Freddy Krueger made sense. Michael Myers made sense. All that made sense back in the day. Candyman.
Yeah.
The big plot holes just don't say Candyman 3 times. Like, I never have to have this problem. Like,
no, like even the Ring, like that wouldn't work in this day and age. You can't have a haunted Netflix account.
Yeah, like, I'm not watching a VHS. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that for you. Like, if you watch this video, you die. I don't even have a VCR. This is not a problem.
It's fine. I don't need them.
It's so fucked up. But
it would last 2 minutes. Because someone would pick it up, go, I don't know what this is, and put it back down.
Yeah. I remember
the film is over.
There's a video where someone in my age range showed us a kid like, hey, a floppy disk. He's like, what is this? He's like, oh, is that a 3D print of the save icon? Motherfucker. Like, no, this. It's like, no, try again. It's like, that's just, did you print? I don't know what that is. That just looks like the save icon. And they don't understand that connection. Same thing with like rolling down the window. People like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
But if you, from the newer generation, had to make a drink or two of a new generation of horror, because I want to make sure, I know you said you have a 2 hour window. I don't want to press you too hard. What would be the drinks?
Do you know what? I think it's a tough one. It's tough because obviously I've mentioned like the remakes, Beetlejuice, an easy one. Mm-hmm. But what makes it really hard, and it's as we've touched on there, if you've got a character, drinks are really easy to make. Mm-hmm. If your film isn't really character-based and it's more psychological, like one that I've really enjoyed, actually, I don't know if you've seen Smile.
Oh, I love that movie. And their viral marketing was amazing. They just had people smiling in the back of baseball games.
But how on earth can I make that into a drink?
Holy shit, you're right. Even the movie It Follows or Talk to Me, which is another great horror movie. Like, how'd you make that? Like, there's nothing that so stands out from that concept.
One that I really disliked, actually. I love the concept. I just don't think it was done too well. Was The Invisible Man. I think whether it was called that, I'm not too sure. Mm. When your protagonist and your main villain is invisible the entire movie, that's the plot point. You can't see him.
It's hard to be afraid and turn that into a drink then also as well.
Like, yeah, like, don't get me wrong, there was a few moments in the film, it's like, she wasn't sure whether she was being chased or something, and she throws like a big bucket of white paint, and when she throws it, his face appears because he was wearing like an invisible suit, it turned out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the time, scary.
Yeah.
How on earth can I turn that into a drink? Because if I made an invisible drink, I don't think I'd get much attention.
No, you just get a clear cocktail, then suddenly it turns white because you poured something over it. I don't know what that would do.
Like, yeah, like it's why I lean more into the old.
Okay.
Because obviously with Candyman, it writes itself. You can use bees knees, honey.
Yeah. What about something
Nightmare on Elm Street? The actual concept.
Caffeine.
Means I can play into it. Yeah, it's much easier to play with.
What about something like Alien and Predator and any sci-fi genres?
Yeah, it's a lot harder to play into psychological, and I feel like for me anyway, I'm not as big on. I'm not saying I'm not as big on horror, but I'm probably not as up to date as I'd love to be. So for me, I can see an awful lot of psychological horror, and it's probably put me off slightly. Mm. One of the big ones that I like that wasn't was The Witch. Really like that film. But again, it's not the easiest to turn into a drink.
Yeah.
So I'm sure I could do it.
I swear to God,
a bit of a R&D, but
it would be so weird if you suddenly like, yeah, so we use goat's milk. No, David, don't do that.
Yeah, I could do a goat's milk wash, and that'd be fun to do. Maybe I do. Yeah. But like, is that a good enough link? I don't know. Like the other ones, I really hammered home the story behind them.
Yeah,
it's harder to do with the psychological. So it's something we'll look at. I've not done enough prep, to be honest, but when I have, You'll be the first to know.
Oh, please do. Well, other like, what about like Alien, Predator, all those like sci-fi horrors, like these kind of like those. Like
Yeah,
I've never really seen you explore those.
no, I've actually went really classic, to be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah, you did,
with,
which I loved.
with what
Which
I've
I
done.
loved, but I'm curious what that looks like, creature.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite curious what it looks like as well.
Uh,
um,
let's take a quick commercial break because we're getting to like the halfway point in our conversation. I know that we want to make sure that we're respectful of his time, guys. We'll be right back, and make sure that if you are not followed Midnight Fables Cabaret, they have a bunch of shows coming up. They have the Burlesque Conservatory. David, I don't know if you know, I will talk about it when we get back, but about one of our biggest sponsors is Aurora Fable and Orlando Fringe and all the great things that came out of that. So we'll talk about that when we catch up a little bit more. We'll be right back, guys.
Sponsor of Bourbon and Bullshit, Big Bang Boom Collective is Orlando's burlesque and cabaret entertainment group, comprised of Midnight Fables Cabaret, Big Bang Boom Cabaret, and Foxy's Den. Follow us on Instagram at Big Bang Boom Collective, or join our VIP email list for info on upcoming shows by visiting www.bigbangboomcollective.com.
All right, guys, we are back. I'm curious what that's going to look like going forward. I'm not trying to put too much pressure on it, but there's a couple concepts and a couple ideas. I was like, that would be cool. Well, that's later on. I thought for sure Terrifier would have made it. I thought someone like that, as there's like, he's the new, I guess, Jason. I don't know. He's fucking out of nowhere. But definitely, I'm excited. I know that you have a lot for Christmas and Festivus and those books and all that, and still being out of the box with it. I know it, and I hate to say it. I'm gonna say it because you won't. I know you. I don't know how you feel about it, actually. I hate Christmas, so I know I know that like these cocktails are very, very like we talked about. Like they're in a box right now, and you're trying to break away from that, make it kind of unconventional. How's that going?
yeah. So I think the last time we left off, I was in the midst of writing a Christmas book to release this year.
Uh-huh.
And I really liked the fact that I needed to get it done for this Christmas. I've got to get it done, get it over the line, and there's something new in the market. I've now decided it's a next year project for a number of reasons.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, the main reason is that this, for me, I want to get it out for the right reasons. I could finish this. I've got quite a few of the drinks prepped and ready to go. I could get this pushed over the line and ready for this Christmas. But I think I'd be doing it for the wrong reasons. I think I'd be doing it to have a product to sell at Christmas. And that's not why I got into writing this book.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend time on getting something that I feel is perfect. And then I'll release it. And if people want to buy it, they can buy it. If they don't, at least I know I've got a product I'm happy with.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I'm doing it for the right reasons. It also means I can spend a lot more time making sure these are well worthy of people's money, which is the most important thing. I don't want to just take money for the sake of it. The last book, I had a tight deadline because of how my life was at the time.
Yeah.
Now, there's no rush. I can release this as and when I really need to and want to. And because I've got such a big following now, I owe it to every single person to not just put out something for the sake of it. It needs to be worthwhile. And I don't just want to take people's money because that's disgusting. So I need to make sure this book is where it needs to be, which is why it's a next year project now. And it means if it's done by May, June, fine. I can spend 3 or 4 months in the lead up to Christmas 25 doing promotion.
Yeah.
Perfect. But that is the plan, to get it ready for next Christmas. Another reason is because we've launched a new Speakeasy again, maybe. I don't know what we're calling this one. But we are going to be doing pop-ups around the UK.
Okay. Another aspect of the business.
Yeah, so it's crazy, and it's one of those ideas that I was waiting to fall down at every hurdle, and it just hasn't. So it looks like it's happening. We effectively go into bars. I mean, you'll hopefully know yourselves. bar takeovers are quite common in the industry at the moment. So bar will go X, Y, and Z, and then they'll come back, blah, blah, blah. I'd love to do takeovers without having a bar. And that's the entire idea. So the bar will pay me up front, or our company up front. We will then go in with 4 cocktails, do a 2-hour presentation to talk through every aspect of the drink, why we've made it, why we've used X, Y, and Z, how we've actually made this menu, and why we've designed it in this way. And it'll only be for 30 people, so it's quite an exclusive event. A ticketed event, which includes those 4 cocktails and the presentation. We'll work the bar, so it'll be me front of house, and I'll be doing the presentations personally. Then I will have one of my bartenders work to create those 30 drinks that we've already R&D'd or brought in batch, most likely, to make their life a bit easier and a bit quicker on service. I'll then do the presentation, like I said, and once they've had those 4, we'll be there for maybe half an hour more for them to keep buying their favourite drinks of the night until we run out of stock. And then at that point, it's up to the bar to just take over. We basically fill their house, and they can then take over and reap the rewards. The actual ticketed event and any drinks sold that night, every single penny will go straight to the bar. We take 0. So we get people in the door, we sell our drinks, and the bar takes all the money. And I'm really excited about that.
That's pretty dope. That's awesome. How soon is that starting?
Something I've not seen. Well, we've got 4 menus designed at the moment, and we're talking to bars to showcase those menus. I can give you a little preview of the names.
Of course.
We've got a Taste of Japan menu. So we're leaning heavily into not only Japanese spirits, but Japanese flavors. So we've got infused Japanese whiskeys, Japanese gins, a really clean Japanese wasabi martini with Japanese vodka.
Wait, no. Japanese wasabi.
We're trying to really push the boat out. We've got really good relationships with the brands.
Okay.
And because these are one-off events and we're not running these for the long term, brands are really open to sending us 2 or 3 bottles or 3 or 4 bottles to use on that night, which means our costs can then be spent on really wild infusions or extra ingredients.
Okay.
And it means that we probably won't make a lot of money on these events, but we don't care because it's brilliant exposure. It's brilliant for the bars. It's brilliant for the communities. And that's what we're trying to... One aspect is we want people to be able to experience these top level cocktails without having to go down to London and spend £40 on a single cocktail. We don't want that. But we're using our influence to try and give them this high level experience for a lot less money. And obviously the bars then hopefully will get this added bonus of people really enjoying the night and then coming back time and time again to try their brilliant cocktails as well. So it's really trying to feed into the industry, and it's just crazy. So we've got Taste of Japan, we've got a best of British menu, we've got a heavily Mediterranean inspired menu, and we're working on it's a crazy one, but we want to use a Thai menu with Thai food in the drinks, and that's a difficult one.
This would be peanut heavy.
So we've got a lot going on. The 5th menu that we've just started to slowly R&D is to try and do a Best of Mexico menu without using any tequila. So
okay,
we'll be using mezcal, you'll be using sotol, and we'll be using bacanora. So we'll still be using agave spirits, but we won't be using the traditional tequila as people know it. So it'll be really heavily smoky, really earthy, really vegetal, just a bit different, and trying to tame those flavors down. And in true boho style, we've also got a deal to do a pop-up Nordic menu where I'll be doing a lot of Scandi spirits, and I'm in talks at the moment to try and get an absinthe night in the northwest of England as well.
You know how I feel about
4 absinthe cocktails.
You know exactly how I feel about absinthe. I love it. That's awesome.
So yeah, that's taking up a lot of the time.
Okay.
We've got some brilliant bartenders signed up. I've got one in particular who was hopefully going to be on the show tonight. He's been part of the team.
Chris?
Stephen. So he's been brilliant. He's been on the team for a while, working with clients and doing X, Y, and Z, but he's a brilliant bartender. He's in a top 10 UK bar. That's where he got his experience. So he is a real top-level bartender. having him on the bar with me front of house doing the presentation, it just seemed like a really fun night. And again, I need to make sure someone on the bar is really talented and skilled, because at the end of the day, I'm just me. I'm a nobody. The person behind the bar needs to be top tier. So then it's a full package. I can talk about drinks forever. It doesn't mean anything unless the person making them is perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure it is for these events. And we've got this big dramatic, we've got big leather aprons. And at the end of each night, I'm going to get an ice pick and we're going to do a tally on the bartender's chest. So we're going to know how many shifts they've worked for SpeakeasierUK.
Wow.
So that apron stays with them.
Yeah.
And when you come in, you look at the bartender's apron, you know straight away how much effort they put into SpeakeasierUK. If they've got 100 scrapes on their leather apron, they're the one. They've been doing it a long time. So yeah, and then every 5th, 10th, 15th, normally you do a diagonal line on the tallies. We're gonna get a custom ice mold made for whichever bar we're working at that night with their branding, and we're gonna heat it up with a Bunsen burner and make a brand on the chest. So every 5th, 10th, 15th, as it goes, the bartender will know exactly where they got their 5th stripe for SpeakeasierUK or their 10th. And then at the end of the night, the bar gets to keep the ice mold that they can brand their ice with. So yeah, we've got a lot on the plate.
You've overly conceptualized this. I love that. Not overly in a negative way, but like there's every aspect of this is like how long does it take to come up with these kind of concepts even for the bartender's perspective? Like, do you like
a while?
Do you just spitball it at one night at home, just like a madman on a whiteboard, or is it like?
So we went to. I'm big on details, and for me, we need to make sure people are getting the money's worth. And adding the drama is one way to do that. So having this 4-drink presentation and then seeing this display at the end where he's earning the stripes, literally, rather than just a congratulations and a well done, that means more to me.
Yeah.
So another thing that we've thought about, again, seems outrageous, but we're going to spray the leather apron with rosemary water before we brand it. By doing that, we're going to get nice aromas when we actually brand it.
Okay. That's actually really, really close attention to detail. It's like, we want to make sure that this doesn't smell terrible. This stands out. The drama will always resonate with people. People will remember, we joke about it all the time between my friends. Like, no good story started with salad, but you remember the dramatic, crazy flair, the events, the drinks that led you there, all that. So that's heavily going to be something people just word of mouth are going to talk about with SpeakeasierUK. That's a good reason not to do the Christmas one. I mean, not just my overall hate of Christmas, but at least to hold off on it until next year when it's right. And I do respect that. I do want to go back to the, like, you don't want to put out a piss poor product or something you're not happy with or satisfied with just for the sake of getting it out.
No, I'd be doing a disservice to the community, and I've said it a while, like the actual number in itself doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
Because it's made up of the individual, and I always think about the individual, and I wouldn't want any one person to be dissatisfied with the product I've produced. And if that means that I miss this Christmas and we do it next year, it's not even a conversation. It's something that's just done as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because we then have a better product. It's not even a debate. It's why I didn't really spend too much time about whether I should or not. I knew I'd have less time because of this project that's come up. So it was a straightaway decision of, well, if we can really make people's lives happy by putting these events on, I'm sure people will still enjoy Christmas next year, because we enjoy it every year apparently. So I can launch it next year, and it'll be even better than a rushed product, because they deserve much, much better than that. So I'm really excited to do it still, and it will come. But the pop-up events will be hopefully groundbreaking. I'm really trying to push the boat out with the technique as well. We want these 4 cocktails to be the equivalent of competition-winning cocktails on every menu, and you get to try 4 of them.
High bar to set.
Yeah.
That's exciting news. But still, try the Coquito cocktail.
I will.
Guys, we're going to wrap up part 1 of this show. We're going to restart part 2 in a moment, but make sure that you stay tuned for next week. David, as we close out part 1, anything for the listeners where they can find you, anything like that? We're going to hop right back in, but I want to make sure that they get there. No, nothing?
No, as always, SpeakeasierUK on Instagram. If you want to find me and follow me, feel free, but there's no pressure.
There's a lot of pressure. I'm pressuring you guys. You're my listeners, that is. Guys, as always, make sure that you are subscribing, liking, giving a 5-star review, giving a shout out to those who support us, support them, follow them on socials. As always, make sure that you tune into the show, share with your friends, and we will be back next week with more from David of SpeakeasierUK. All right, bye, guys. Hey guys, today's episode is brought to you by Burn Termite and Pest Control. I first met Joe Byrne on Full Frontal Nerdy Show and decided to give his company a try. They have been the best pest service I've ever had, from flexible scheduling, attention to detail, fair pricing, and everything you love about a small business. I highly recommend Joe Byrne and Burn Termite and Pest Control. It's a family-owned and operated business with over 30 years of experience in termite and pest. You can reach Burn Termite and Pest Control at 321-297-7985. Once again, 321-297-7985. And let them know Bourbon and Bullshit sent you. Thanks, guys. See you next time.